An Older People's Sex Guide. An Older People's Sex Introduction. I discuss how aging affects love and sex ability, not sexual desire. My sexual desire has not changed. My ability is a little down because the average male loses 1% of testosterone a year after 30. One thing almost nobody talks about is the fact that you lose the physical attraction to your spouse as you age, assuming you were attracted to him or her at one time because of their body and looks. The pursuit of love and sex don't really change just because you age. You could pursue people your own age. The dating websites all give you matches based on your age. I'm not attracted to women my age. I'm only attracted to young women. Chapter 1. An Aging Sex Guide. Primal Magnetism and Age. Regardless of how well any man or woman takes care of themselves, everybody loses their primal magnetism bit by bit 1 year at a time as they age, so everyone will reach a point where they know they ain't got it anymore. If you want new human connections, you either have to buy them or charm people with your dazzling personality. That's the biological clock. It affects women way more than it affects men because a woman's value in society is her beauty. A man can look sophisticated as he ages, a woman just gets old. The reason I'm saying all this is because it's the truth. A person's primal attractability is very important to our identities. Most couples are not physically attracted to each other anymore after 10 years of marriage. Some psychobabble expert on the radio said that sex stops after the second child, and he was dead serious about it. Even if you don't use it, it's nice to know that some people are attracted to you based on look alone. It's undervalued among men, while there are multi-billion-dollar industries geared to give aging women the illusion of youth. Do whatever you can to keep it, but be ready for the transition. To me, life works in 2 stages. You have the grace and power of youth, then after 35, you have to fight to keep it. It's the curse on all beautiful women. Your looks will go. Then what? Just know that you only get one youth. After 50, there are no certainties in the love game anymore because physical look is so important. If you ain't got it, you're never gonna get that pure, primal love and sex we all want deep in our souls. You might get a warm friendship, but the stuff of romance novels is long gone. Men's sexuality and aging. Sometimes it takes me all night to do what I used to be able to do all night long. Horny old guy. Somebody said that men lose 1% of testosterone a year. This doesn't decrease your sex drive. It decreases your ability to get hard. After losing 20% or so, it will take longer to come, then at some point, your testicles won't produce much sperm anymore. It will take longer to get hard, more thrusting to come, and it will take longer to get it up after you come the first time. Some guys take the blood flow sex pills. Some guys take steroids and /HGH, human growth hormone. You can buy this stuff in countries like Mexico. You can be like me. I do what I can to take care of my body, as with physical activity, good nutrition, and living an inspired lifestyle. Now that the guy can't have 5 orgasms a day, it's a good time to enter a monogamous relationship and spend lots of time stimulating your wife's clit and tits, since you can't come that much anymore. Read about tantric sex, sensate focus, and other ideas for non-intercourse or non-genital sex. Prostatectomy, the surgical removal of prostate tissue, while decrease sexual ability for a while, but after it heals, it should be back to normal. A possible side effect is retrograde ejaculation, where ejaculate only shoots into the bladder, not out of the penis. Get tired during intercourse. Sensual enjoyment is measured by the pleasure you give and get, not the time spent on it. If you can't handle sustained penetration without getting tired, stop after 5 minutes or so for a minute or more. You can just catch your breath or do something else like fondle her tits, massage her clit, etc. If you feel it coming, try to hang on to blow it out, but if you can't, stop, recharge, then do it again. Starting at about 40 years old, there will come a day when you will not be able to get a hard erection and will not be able to come. This shouldn't become regular until you're at least 60 years old, but it will happen when you're tired. Stop and rest as many times as you need until you come. If you're old and worn out, buy a vibrator, use it to finish her off if you can't. Men also use strap-on dildos and penis sleeves. Anxiety can keep you soft in bed too. Get over it by feeling relaxed enough to get aroused naturally by the sight of your lover's naked body and the foreplay. As you age, there will come a time when it's 50:50 that you might come or might not. If you put pressure on yourself to come, that just adds to your anxiety, therefore inability to come. Accept it, do intercourse for a while, then do other things and end it without coming. Some older guys train their wives to give them hand jobs because hand jobs give more friction than intercourse, therefore it's more likely the guy will come. Long-time marriage and Alzheimer's. There's a Canadian movie called Away From Her starring veteran actor Gordon Pinsent about him and his wife with Alzheimer's. There are 3 lessons in the movie. 1. Accept the deterioration and loss of memory of the loved one. 2. Is there a point where you can let go, not in terms of professional care but in terms of the afflicted one who goes in and out of clarity, letting the guy go off and pursue other things, even another lover? The guy still visits but he frees himself emotionally. 3. Choose to be happy. There is some insight into life at a caregiving facility. They demonstrate her memory loss by continuing to bring up a book about Iceland which the husband brings her. Is there a point where the Alzheimer's person loses their spirit, can't even recognize a deep, intimate hug anymore, or do they always have some recognition? It's truly sad when the spouse loses all memory of their life together. Chapter 2. Sexual and Aging Essays. Love, Sex, and Aging 1. Relationships are not about all or nothing. As you age, they're more like an old car. They may be rickety and falling apart, but they'll still get you there, bit by bit. Love is lame at 50 years. Thomas Hardy, The Revisitation, Times Laughingstocks, 1909. After I have grown old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? Genesis 18:12. Age doesn't protect you from love. Love, to some extent, protects you from aging. Grow old with me. The best is yet to be. The last of life for which the first was made, our times are in his hand. Robert Browning, 1812-1889, from Rabbi Ben Ezra. If a couple stays together for 20+ years, the things they might have once done that got on each other's nerves are gradually eliminated or tolerated more in consideration of the other partner. They adapt to go easy with each other such that whenever younger and older couples are polled as to the level of happiness in their marriages, the older ones always win in the happiness game, presumably because they know each other more thoroughly, they're more considerate, adapted to, patient and tolerant of one another. If you're willing to expend yourself with a good dose of physical activity all the time, you can easily live at 15 years younger than your age, if not more. I know 60-ish guys with full heads of brown hair, no graying, with muscles and vitality that beat out most 30-year-olds. It's all up to you. It's a state of mind too. I believe that intense exertion in something physical for a little while most days will keep you young. Working in the garden or golf are not enough. You have to run, lift weights or something like that. Love is generally perceived as a young person's phenomena because of the vitality of youth. Many people give up on love after youth, both married and single, because they lose themselves and their bodies, but you don't have to if you take care of yourself. What I mean by losing yourself is that you're not spiritually and physically centered within yourself enough to feel at ease enough to initiate romance and go for it. People get dumpy, boring, and brainwashed by the forces of the world to become duds who feel comfortable with their food, TV and slovenly habits. They've given up on any desires to initiate romance, so it dies as two people grow to accept themselves as passionless roommates or a single person who thinks they will never attract anybody because they're older. Obviously, this is all faulty thinking. Most marriages are not rocket ship romance over a lifetime, they're more like fireworks, one brilliant shot during the honeymoon, then it's all downhill after that. Indulge less, enjoy more. Studies on people over 40 show that most are sexually disinterested or impotent in some way, probably due mostly to the stressful lifestyles that they've created for themselves. I've realized that youthful vitality is the most important thing in my life, so I've resolved to stay there, which is the philosophy that I developed by living life as a free spirit. I've come to the realization that the only things that really matters in life are soul and love, which equate to youthful vitality. In a nutshell, we have a society that implicitly encourages us to work a dull job, go home, watch TV, and get fat, which goes against the passionate lifestyle of a free spirit's credo. Love, soul, and passion, these are the only things that really matter, not the size of your house or all those useless material gadgets out there. Men generally give up on sex with their wives after about 35 to 40, when the wife gets chubby and frumpy from being a mother and the man starts to see her as the mother of his kids, so he shuts her out of his sex life and proceeds to fantasize about all the pretty young girls he sees on TV and out in public. He may start to cheat, go to hookers, but probably will just masturbate more or even kind of lose his sex drive as he gets more into booze, golf, work, etc. Most over 40 women see themselves as dumpy and sex as unattractive females turns them off, so they turn off to their husbands. The net result after 40 is really a sexual epidemic, despite all the older people you see on TV saying they have great sex lives. Most people really don't, unless it's pleasuring themselves. Accept the fact that sexual intimacy will slow down a bit as you age due to physical changes. People report that the older they get, the more tired they feel in general. Simply focus more on the emotional part of it rather than the physical need for orgasm. Women generally catch up to men and meet them on their declining sexual level as they age. Sexual hibernation will occur for each, periods of time when you don't feel like having sex. In such cases, give each other slack, but be very aware that you don't cross the line where the temporary absence of sexual intimacy gradually leads to the permanent cessation of all sexual relations, which is often the case. It's not a premeditated act. They simply abstain for a week, which gives way to a month, then a year, then a few fumbling attempts here and there until it's gone forever. If you don't want it to go, you have to keep trying to connect in all ways, as friends, as emotional intimates, and physically. Several major surveys have been conducted over the years, and the major finding is that there's no consistent pattern between love, sex, and aging. Some people continue to thrive while others fade away. Everybody, regardless of age, experiences the same kind of anxieties and problems. For sure, the physiology deteriorates, people aren't as attractive, the orgasms come farther apart and fewer between for men, but if people can adjust to fewer orgasms and still want to have sex, they can do so. It's largely a state of mind anyway. The biggest hang-up about aging is that people get fat and wither a bit, feel ashamed of their bodies, so they hide them and don't have sex with a partner anymore. I recently saw a 74-year-old stripper on TV who looked good for her age. Then I saw some 80-year-olds on a talk show going strong. Some older women say they don't have to worry about getting knocked up anymore, and because they release less estrogen and more testosterone, they get hornier as they age past menopause. Sex is still there, but you will probably have to slow it down a bit. Take care of yourself both physically and spiritually. Get a complete medical checkup. Learn about a few potential danger spots like prostate problems, incontinence, arthritis, baldness, heart attack, etc. Love, sex, and aging too. Many men deny their increasingly apparent mortality, but sooner or later, you have to confront yourself and realize that you're a limited version of the hunk you once were. On the other hand, many couples give up on sex during middle age due to a number of reasons, the most common of which is they weren't close anyway during their younger years, and now that they're more unattractive, less energetic, and still inhibited, it simply becomes that much harder to do, so they just give up and live as roommates. It's their own fault. They can change if they want to. It's never too late. Impaired health might affect sexual performance, but it doesn't necessarily stop it. Just work around it the best they can. People have alternatives to impotence, like simply hugging and cuddling. Many older people who are single either by choice, death, or divorce, explore alternatives such as vibrators and pornography to help them masturbate. Older people have the same issues that younger people do. Many older men cheat on their wives with younger women. In a nutshell, sex after 40 is all about attitude and exercise. If you think it's over, it will be. If you've lived life up into middle age on a high-stress workaholic level, possibly abused your body with booze and junk food and let it go, your sexual prowess may be inhibited but not dead. You can always get vital by simply taking care of yourself and exercising. Hopefully you're still not frantic about success at work, have some money stored away and some creature comforts so you can relax and enjoy it more. Women don't reach a sexual peak until the late 30s/early 40s, and it sometimes takes that long for some of them to learn about what it's really like to have an orgasm. Presumably, both men and women are more experienced and can relax and enjoy it more with all the foreplay and ease involved with not having to ejaculate every time. Cuddling and other things are good enough. It doesn't have to be intercourse every time. For many but not all people, sexual function slows down. Men take longer to get aroused, it takes longer to ejaculate, and the period between ejaculations is longer. Margaret Mead coined the term postmenopausal zest/PMZ to describe the enhanced sexual vitality some women experience after menopause. Many men develop serious psychological problems about sex because they can't get aroused as much, hence, they shy away from it, and many often give up on sex totally with their wives, choosing to live a friendly, sexless life together. Because there are less older men than women around, women have a harder time finding partners. If you're an older man in good shape, you shouldn't have any problem finding available older women around. Get a job as a security guard at a seniors housing complex. Some widows remarry after their spouses die. Otherwise, many people who have been married for a lifetime simply die shortly after their spouse dies. It's a fact, they subconsciously or consciously choose to go off to join their partner in heaven or wherever it is they go. Older people in nursing homes are so miserable because they have no privacy. Unless they're rich, they have to share a room with someone else, and if they find someone to have romance with, there's no privacy in a nursing home. So this is one of my suggestions for nursing home reform. Have some private rooms where couples can go to be romantic with each other, and try to give them all their own rooms. Based on a documentary I saw about sex and aging, which you might be able to dig up at cbc.ca/television, a lot of this hype about needing hormones and pills both to keep your fountain of youth alive and your sexual ability vital is largely a product of drug companies wanting to implant a need in the minds of the populace, then rake in the money by selling their fountain of youth/vitality drugs to these sucker consumers for life, when the truth is that drugs won't help you all that much. It's lifestyle. The fountain of youth and sexual vitality is mostly a state of mind, how you take care of yourself and your spiritual way of being, as opposed to this incredible orgasm in a pill, which comes down to drug companies trying to make big bucks. But I personally believe that saw palmetto and yahimbe will help the average guy stay hard. Age doesn't stop horniness. There are liberated older women out there looking for sex. Books about sex and aging are at #301.435 and 306.708 at the library. General health and fitness books are at #611-613 at the library. There's a documentary around called Still Doing It by the CBC at cbc.ca about the sex lives of several over 60 women. Although I haven't seen the film Something's Gotta Give with Jack Nicholson, it was included in an article I read on Sexuality and Aging about this old dude played by Jack Nicholson falling for an old dame even though he fancies himself a playboy after the young ones. Love, Sex, and Aging 3. Aging brings with it pain, the fear of death, possible illness, and the fear of losing your partner. You don't have to forego sex despite all of this. Sex comes with love, so if you focus on love through touch, that will lead to sex or is the next best thing. David Smarsh, in The Sexual Crucible, said, "It takes tremendous courage to love right up to the moment of death." The way I interpret this is that we get sick, old, and ugly, but love and the expression of it go beyond this, or at least it should for long-time couples. Aging is partially a grief process for a loss of youth. Illness too is a loss of a magical feeling, and if it leads to a disability, it results in a feeling that life will never be good and free again like it once it was. People need to grieve these losses for a little while, then get over them, make peace with themselves, so to speak. Mature people accept this and live the best life they can for who they are at this moment in their lives. Aging and physically disabled typically don't fit into the normal ideals of beauty according to pop culture standards and mainstream TV advertising. Therefore, many weak and stupid people in these categories are not strong enough to accept themselves as is and know they have their own beauty regardless of what the marketing forces out there say. In fact, the ploy of much of marketing is aimed at older and disabled people, designed to make them feel inferior in order that they buy the products being pitched to give themselves the illusion of greater beauty, youthfulness, vitality, and coolness. But these things don't come from anywhere out there. They can only come from within oneself. My Free Spirits book is an excellent example of self-centered excess. I had the guts and the fortitude to peel off everything I was brainwashed by to live for myself, by what I feel within. I look at all my peers, people around my age, and I see a lot of brainwashed people while I'm pretty loose and free, detached from it all. My sexual vibe has not changed since I was 22. I double that now and then some. You don't have to be like almost everyone else your age, essentially deadheads. Look after your soul, inspiration, and health, and the sexual vibe will come. Menopause is physiologically a state of hormone reduction in the body, but it can affect the way you think and sometimes even affect memory, concentration, and the ability to think rationally. Women have testosterone just like men. This is the sex hormone for both men and women. Testosterone levels drop in both men and women during andropause and menopause. This leads to a loss of muscular strength, endurance, and a loss of sexual desire, as well as the ability to get sexually aroused quickly. There are natural ways to bring up testosterone levels, such as moderate exercise, a stimulating lifestyle but not to the point of exhaustion, healthy foods, rest, relaxation, and minimizing stress in your life. Artificially, men take testosterone, steroid injections, and pills. Love, sex, and aging. 4. Some women take hormone replacement therapy, HRT, which is a double-edged sword, with some good points and bad points. It will artificially increase estrogen and progesterone levels in the body, which will give you a jolt of vitality plus help you look more youthfully feminine, but many studies show that these artificial hormones can contribute to some serious illnesses. It's a complex subject. There is plenty of research out there. You must study the pros and cons on your own before you make a decision either way. Natural estrogen decreases at menopause. This can decrease sense of smell, pheromone levels, overall feminine look, energy level, sexual desire, and the ability to get sexually aroused. These physiological changes can lead to more devastating psychological and spiritual losses, where you feel like you're losing your scent of a woman, so to speak. HRT can restore these important functions, but it's all temporary unless you do it for life, which could get expensive, and there are the possible side effects. Estrogen and progesterone give you some physical and emotional benefits, but they don't directly increase sexual desire except in the sense where you feel better and more feminine, therefore more desirable. At menopause, the ovaries stop producing estrogen and progesterone but also reduce the amount of testosterone they produce, which decreases the female sex drive. The general consensus is that HRT lowers any levels of testosterone still created by the body, so it might you look more sexy but effectively kill your sex drive. If you get HRT, get testosterone replacement also to help with your sex drive. At the other extreme, menopause is a great excuse to give up on sex. Most are dumpy by then, haven't taken care of themselves, lost their youthful look, and some are relieved that now they can justifiably tell their husbands they no longer want sex, when in fact they never enjoyed having sexual relations with anybody but themselves. There is still another subgroup that feel as though menopause has a freeing effect. They can now have sex freely without the risk of pregnancy, and because they are now technically middle-aged, society has no more expectations on them to be beautiful or proper, so they can do what they want, and if somebody doesn't like it, too bad. Menopause is not just a hormonal change, it is a spiritual aesthetic change accompanied by the empty nest syndrome, possible divorce, some kind of medical condition, loss of youthful beauty/vitality and a re-entry into the workforce. In Western society, men are valued for what they do and their material worth, which generally means their status increases as they age, not to mention their looks become more distinguished, while women lose their youthful beauty, their greatest possession out in the world, and just age. This brings with it devastating consequences to many women who were once beautiful but now are just generic middle-aged, overweight, slightly dumpy hags. This is the great revenge of the cosmos on all women, particularly young, arrogant ones. It will only last a few seasons. Unless a woman has a beautiful soul makes a beautiful face, from the book of Proverbs, eats the right foods, lives an inspired lifestyle, and does regular vigorous physical activity, she will develop that generic, dumpy look that you can see repeated hundreds of times every day in any supermarket. It's not about what you wear, what cosmetic surgery you have, or how much makeup you put on. True, eternal beauty comes from the inside. Some older women have it, but to me, the most pathetic thing is a once arrogant soul of a former beauty now trying vainly to keep herself beautiful by caking makeup on and wearing too tight, too trendy clothes. It just doesn't work. You either got it or you don't. Love, sex, and aging 5. Instead of obsessing about losing your youthful beauty, do the best you can, live a spiritual aesthetic inspired lifestyle, accept yourself as is and don't take it all so hard. Keep on living well like I try to do. Think sexy. It will make you sexy. Put your favorite music on from whatever era you want and dance to it. Sexuality changes as we age. You can improve your sex life. Just follow everything I've said about being healthy and vital in my health book and the sex book. Be active. Eat healthy foods. Sex is always good regardless of age. Sex prompts the release of substances that bolster the immune system, release endorphins that act as painkillers, benefit the heart and lungs by increasing breathing and circulation, help us relax and feel good about ourselves. Most people want to be close to other people, to touch and be touched, both physically and emotionally. As people age, they often worry about their sexual performance. Do the best you can and don't sweat it. You don't intercourse or orgasm every time. As physical sexuality changes, couples can explore new ways to stimulate each other by being more creative about creating a romantic atmosphere for lovemaking. Explore new aspects of sexuality through erotic reading, sex toys, or videos. Feel free to discuss sexuality with friends. The major changes that women experience during midlife are related to diminishing hormonal production, which accounts for the symptoms of menopause after monthly periods cease. Common symptoms include lower libido, slowing of sexual arousal, hot flashes, night sweats, sleep disturbances, emotional changes, mood swings, depression, vaginal dryness, itching, increased sensitivity to sounds, dry skin. Use a water-based lubricant during sex. Hormone replacement therapy, available in pills, patches, creams or vaginal rings, can help many women decrease vaginal dryness and other menopause-related symptoms, but HRT is also associated with higher risks of heart attack, stroke, breast cancer, and gallbladder problems. Men lose 1% of testosterone a year after 30. The desire is the same, but physiological ability goes down. It's all about blood flow. Exercise and use a blood flow sex pill. Stop smoking, decrease alcohol intake, relax more. Sometimes illnesses and the drugs used to treat them can interfere with sexual functioning. Illnesses and surgeries can affect sexuality. Your sagging body often makes you feel unattractive, which affects sexual ability. If you sleep around, practice safer sex to avoid STDs. For many seniors, institutional living marks the end of sexual freedom. No locks on doors, shared rooms, single beds, segregation of male and female residents, etc. If you got your health, don't move into one of these places. At the very least, try for a private room so you can masturbate in some kind of peace. Demand a lock for privacy. If you're gay, try to find a gay retirement home. I don't worry about less sexual prowess with age. I accept my abilities in the moment. Love, sex, and aging. 6. Sexuality is dampened but not extinguished. Most people over the age of 45, single and married alike, don't have sex much with each other or by themselves. Sensuality is always there inside of you. Many people lose a hold of whatever might be loving, romantic, sensual, aesthetic, passionate, intense, and inspired within themselves, but it's still in there buried away because it's a part of your essence. You were born with it. Older adults can and generally enjoy sexual intimacy into late life, but rates of sexual intercourse decrease drastically with age because of 1. Health failings. 2. Unavailability of a partner. There are many widows and divorced seniors. For men, expect sexual desire to stay the same, but ability will go down because you lose 1% of testosterone per year after the age of 30. Wrinkles, fat, loss of muscle tone, hair loss, etc. are normal signs of aging. If you want to know how to stay vital, read my book A Free Spirit's Search for Enlightenment. Your body is all you really own. Take care of it. Illnesses associated with aging might affect your sex life. Regardless of what disease or illness you might get, sex is usually possible in some way. You can still hug, kiss, and give oral sex even if you can't get it up or reach orgasm. Sex is still good for your health. Diabetes can make it hard for a man to get an erection. Arthritis pain can hurt sexual activity. Find sexual positions that take the stress off affected areas. Healthy seniors can continue enjoying sex right to the end. Most textbooks and articles ignore the subject of sexuality in the elderly population. Older adults who live active lives have good sex lives. Drive or desire remains fairly stable in both men and women throughout life. Arousal is the phase most affected by aging. Orgasm tends to be the phase least affected by aging, especially in women. Men may need more stimulation to come than before. Stress and emotional problems can affect sexuality. Sexual interest can persist indefinitely. The myth is that older people want sex. A lot of them don't, men and women alike. They might want to masturbate, but they don't want to have sex because they feel old and ugly. I read an article that said most couples over 50 don't have sex anymore. Despite all the psychobabble, research mumbo jumbo I've read about aging and sex, I don't buy most of the negative stuff because, as a case study of one, I'm no different in ability and desire from when I was 22, so it ain't slowing down yet. The only time my sex drive fails is when I drink too much booze or do too much coke. Other than that, I'm still a young man sexually. I take care of myself. You can read about it in my health and medical book or go to #611-#613 at the library for books about how to be fit, healthy and vital. Most loss of sexual ability parallels loss of health. Love, sex, and aging. 7. The desire in your mind plus your physical health determines your sexual ability. Biologically you slow down a bit, but not all that much unless you're at least 75 if you take care of yourself. Virtually any degenerative disease from arthritis to heart disease dampens sex drive. Medications taken for many chronic diseases may cause either a loss of libido or impaired performance. If you have a willing spirit, you can still enjoy sex. Older women should use lubrication because the vagina dries out. If you're exhausted by nighttime, have sex earlier. Watch porn. Use sex toys. If you can't have intercourse, you can have physical affection such as holding hands, hugging, and kissing. Talk about sex. Redefine your sexuality. Keep complimenting your spouse to make him or her feel sexy. Take care of your health. A lot of sex is in the mind. Lower your expectations. Accept the fact that sexual arousal takes longer and requires more manual stimulation. Make the most of foreplay. Talk, share, and be erotic. Focus less on intercourse, more on intimacy. Use lubrication since a woman's vagina may dry out with age. You might want to go to a doctor for erectile dysfunction, to get a sex pill. Women can get estrogen cream or testosterone cream. Some diseases that interfere with sexual response are diabetes, thyroid disease, and depression. Your primary care doctor, urologist, or gynecologist may be able to help or may refer you to a sex therapist. There is the conventional wisdom going around that says men's sexual peak, point where their sexual ability is highest, is in their early 20s while women peak in their mid-30s. The truth is that we are all individuals. In my opinion, most men and women lose their sexual vitality by 40 for the following reasons. They don't take care of themselves physically. They became workaholics and chase illusions of success out in the world. They do not live inspired lives for the aesthetics of it. They have responsibilities like children and aging parents. They allow themselves to be seduced by food so they gain weight, and with that, goes the self-image of a vibrant person and also the ability to be a graceful, powerful lover. They live generic lives in general with no intensity, spark or originality to them. Most of us know older people who live at both extremes. You got the depressed, generic couch potatoes, and you got the people who don't know they're old. They just keep following their inspiration like they did when they were young. Remember the cliché, use it or lose it? You don't just start a rusty car after 10 years. You have to run it every day, all the time to keep it going strong. The relationship between sex and aging is partially about decreasing rates of release of power-enhancing hormones like testosterone, human growth hormone, estrogen in women, and a few others that can't be stopped even by artificial means, even though artificial hormones are expensive and the effects not permanent, but the motherlode of the fountain of youth is the lifestyle you live. Aging slows you down physiologically, that's a fact, but a lot of this is propaganda and the cultural myth. I know a number of people over 45 who are more sexual vital than most people aged 25 or younger because of the way they take care of themselves and the attitude with which they travel. If you believe everything you hear about how aging destroys your health and sexuality, you will be a brainwashed sucker. It will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the other hand, even though I know middle-aged people who are more vital than young people, most people do lose some of their hot, passionate fires of youth, but as sex drive fades for the average person, it should be replaced by a more compassionate, empathetic, sharing type of love where you value the intimacy as much as the sex. A big part of it is anxiety about losing your sexual prowess as you age. Rather than fret about it, embark on a healthier, active lifestyle to help enhance your sexual vitality. People get fat, wrinkly, and dumpy as they age. Everybody fades somewhat, but I know older people who have great-looking bodies. Acceptance of your modified self is a part of it, but so is fighting the aging process by taking care of yourself. Don't let it take you. Fight for your youth forever. As you age, start focusing on tantric non-orgasm-centered sex more instead of just focusing on the orgasm all the time. In general, the most common medical complaints people have about sex as they age are general fatigue and stress, which can be battled by developing a healthy, calm lifestyle and getting a good night's sleep. Medications and booze, which kill the sex drive. General illness, which drains the sex drive. Hypertension, anxiety about other aspects of life. Loss of hormones at menopause. Learn about menopause and deal with it. Consider hormone replacement therapy. A hysterectomy will lower sex drive. Fertility treatments will lower sex drive. A history of sexual abuse could interfere with sex drive at any point in life. They still love each other but have no sexual passion. Painful sex, often because of a drying vagina in women around menopause, often called vaginismus, consider hormone replacement therapy or lubrication. Natural loss of sex drive due to lowered levels of testosterone as both men and women age. Poorer body image the older one gets, usually fatter and dumpier. Either try to improve it or accept yourself as is. If your partner criticizes your body, leave him. Bored with wife, need pornography, an affair, cybersex or other things to stay stimulated. Women get bored with their husbands and seek out emotional affairs. Erectile dysfunction for men. Viagra could be too powerful for the middle-aged wife to handle it. Husband blames wife for poor sex, she blames him. Love, sex, and aging 8. If you're having a sexual problem and want it back, you have to approach like you approach anything you want, you have to try at it. Think about sex all the time. Your most important sex tool is your brain. Use pornography, sex toys, etc. Practice on yourself before you try to make love to your spouse. Kiss more. Try novelty. Have sex any way you can. Be friends with your spouse. Have a sense of humor about it. Accept the up-down cycles of your sexuality. Use the following as a guideline. Arm yourself with knowledge. Talk about your problem to your spouse. Don't necessarily blame your lover. Look at yourself. Try to get your vitality back. Consider professional medical and/or psychological help. Develop healthy life habits. Be more free. Don't listen to other people or let them make you feel guilty. Do what's right for you. See a good doctor who can check out your sexual plumbing. Change for the positive. Be more sensual without focusing on the orgasm. Don't smoke or drink booze. Drink enough water to stay hydrated. Be romantic and fun. Get your inspired spark back. Do some exercise or some physical activity. Watch porn that turns you on. Continue to think sexy and have sex. Check into herbs and aphrodisiacs. Some really work like DHEA, yahimbe, and ginseng. Learn to reconnect sexually again in a modified way focused on intimacy rather than straight sex. There's a lot of psychological baggage that goes with taking Viagra. Don't be ashamed or self-conscious about it. Just do it and accept it. Don't brag like you're Superman. Tell your wife you're doing it. For some, it's not a superdrug. It only works mildly. If it's a superdrug for you, don't go animal on your wife. Just do it to yourself more. If you're active, inspired and feel a spark about your life, you can stay vital for a long, long time. Your general overall health and vitality for life is directly related to your sexual vitality. Be healthy, do the right things to take care of yourself and enjoy your life by doing inspiring soulful pursuits, and you should be able to have great sex until you go meet him in that great paradise in the sky. Women generally get drier down there after menopause, so use lubricants when you do it. Right after menopause, some women may be unstable about their sexual desires, some getting aroused, some less. Just play it cool and give it some time to stabilize. Chapter 3. A Sex and Aging Website Guide. Aging Sex Websites 1. 50plus.org 50plusmag.com 51plus.com/sex_and_dating_after_51.htm aarp.org aarp.org/relationships/love-sex, handling love and relationships for boomers. aarpmagazine.org/lifestyle/relationships. aarpmagazine.org/lifestyle/relationships/sex_in_america.html. ahealthyme.com/topic/srsx. AlanAltmanMD.com Midlife Sexuality. AOA.gov, Administration on Aging. apa.org/pi/aging/resources/guide/sexuality.aspx, APA's Office on Aging, Aging and Human Sexuality Resource Guide. apa.org/pi/aging/sexuality.html, Aging and Human Sexuality Resource Guide. BetterDHANeverExpected.blogspot.com. BoomerCafe.com/relationships.htm. BoomersInt.com. caps.ucsf.edu/over50.html, Older People and AIDS. Aging Sex Websites 2. clitical.com/bodyimage/oldersex.php ecuream.com/especial/obgyn/sex_after_50.asp ians.com, get tips on romance and relationships for people 50 plus. ians.com/body/feature/health corner/sex after 50 dismantling the myths. Finding love after 50.com/sex-seniors.html forum.betters_x_different_after_50/m_54/tm.htm globalaging.org goascalice.columbia.edu/1853.html Younger man hot for senior citizens. grandtimes.com/relationships.html health.messengers.com.au healthresources.caremark.com/topic/srsx healthyplace.com/communities/sex/seniors hs.ttu.edu/sexuality&aging joanprice.com/betterthanexpected.htm celebrates the delights of older life sexuality. Aging sex websites 3. malehealthcenter.com/seniors.html mayoclinic.com/health/sexual health medicinenet.com seniors and sex my.webmd.com/content/article/65/72604.htm boosting sexual vitality in midlife myhealthwellmark.com/topic/srsx NCOA.org, the National Council on the Aging nia.nih.gov/health information/publication/sexuality.htm National Institute on Aging, Sex in Later Life neapublications.org/engage pages/sexuality, asp project-aware.org overview of perimenopause and menopause, including a list of common symptoms health.discovery.com/centers/women/perimenopause/perimenopause.html arakelly.com/sex-after-40 rd.com, some articles. Aging sex websites 4. revolutionhealth.com/healthy-living/relationships/sex intimacy/bedroom basics/intimacy aging secretloverslane.blogspot.com selfhelpmagazine.com/articles/aging/eldersx.html seniors.org/womensissues.asp seniorsx.com seniorsx.org seniorsite.com/sex/index.asp seniors-site.com/sex/intro.html sexhealth.org/sexaging/mail.shtml sexsupport.org/aging.html sexualhealth.com sexualwholeness.com shapemag.com shopem.com/articles/aging/eldersx.html older women talk about sex siecuz.org sexuality sixkeys.com midlife suddenlysenior.com/sexafter60.html thebuhlerinstitute.com/articles/x-after50.htm thirdage.com/romance urologychannel.com/erectile-dysfunction/index.shtml kidney.niddk.nih.gov/coup diseases/pub/impotence Sex Over 40 newsletter PHE Incorporated POG 1600 Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27515 adamabe.com British aging sex websites Age Concern UK 020-8765-7200 ageconcern.org.uk Hysterectomy, Menopause, and HRT Support Group 0130-967-3178, UK Relate, UK 01788 573 241 relate.org.uk